Hi, so the first quarter of the year is finally over, and I've read a staggering number of 31 books. So these are all the books that I liked so far that were really, really good, to be fair. So the first book that I read that I rated really, really well was The Poppy War by R.F. Kwong. So essentially, we're following this girl. Her name is Rin, and so she is basically a war orphan. And in order to escape an arranged marriage, she ends up having to take an exam, a very like prestigious exam that barely anyone ever like gets through to go to this prestigious military school, and everything goes so devastatingly downhill from there. And when I tell you, she is one of the like main female male characters that I feel like is the most unhinged, and we love her. She's really sweet. And then the next book that I also really really like was The Witch's Heart by Giovanni Gornick. So essentially, we are following this one woman who has lived multiple lives, but she's forgotten why exactly in her very first life why she was killed. She knows roughly that it was like the northern gods that killed her, but she didn't know why. And essentially, she's a witch, and she's basically like tackling different types of things. And also, she ends up having a relationship with the Norse god Loki, which was very interesting, and bears three children that are very different from one another, which was quite nice actually. The next book that I really really liked was Chain Gang All Star by Nana Kwame Ajayi Brenya. And when I tell you, this was so like it was so interesting because I went into this completely blind. So essentially, we are following this one or multiple we're basically put in different perspectives, and so it's basically like if you commit a heinous crime and instead of going to serve your normal time, you're going to say that okay cool, I want to go into the chain gang all gang prison system. It's basically gladiators, and every week you're fighting for your life, and if you are new, you are basically fresh meat. And it was good, and there's a woman romance as well, so if that's up your alley, read that one too. And then another book that I actually quite liked, it was kind of surprising, was for me was To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monique Black Goose. So we're following this one little girl who is indigenous to the island that she lives on, and for some reason there hasn't been dragon sighted in multiple years, but then she ends up stumbling across like a dragon that lays its egg, and then she tells people about it. She goes back, and then there's a whole lot of thing goes on because then she has to attend like a dragon school where everyone hates her, and then there's another person there, there's love interest as well, and there's hints of a polyamorous relationship, which is interesting. And I was kind of rooting for it at the same time because it was just so nonchalant how everything was going about, and I thought that was nice. And then the next book that I also really really like this first quarter was Dark Days by James Baldwin, and it was my first like classic book that I've read since secondary school, and I just felt very very stupid trying to comprehend it, but it was a good like introduction into the like classics, and I'll be reading more of his books later on. Another book that I loved it more than the first one that I read this year was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kwong. And when I tell you, this woman, if she said that you cried in the first book, go and get your bucket, you're going to cry. That is what this book did to me. And there's so much things that's going on, and honestly I thought it was better than the first one, but it was so good. I definitely recommend that one. And then another book series that I really really liked was it's more very atmospheric and a bit different, and it has something to do with like witches, was The Bear Book of the Dead by A.G. Slatter. And when I tell you, so basically in this one there's like a long line of witches that basically govern this little town, and there's also like this one that's is called the Briar Witch. She's supposed to be the one that does all the different types of deeds, but like something is going on, like people are just dying left right and center, and for some reason the girl that did not have any type of abilities can actually communicate with the dead, which was kind of good. It's not necromancy, but it was still good regardless, so I definitely recommend that. And the last book that I really really like for this quarter so far that I would say is, honestly, it was not for the plot, it was purely on the characters and how they actually interact with one another. It's called The Silver Under the Night Fall by Rin Chapeko. And I really love this purely because of like the interaction because I know it's about like vampires, and there's also this one vampire slayer who ends up being infatuated with this one vampire princess, but then also the princess is like engaged to this guy who's like a vampire king of this one. Is it the third, because there's multiple third sectors and everything like that, but then they end up falling for all the both of the vampires love the guy, and I'm just like, ooh, this is polyamorous. So I was like, ooh, ooh, and it was so nice. And so that's all the books that I really like so far. I've lost count how many it is, but anyway, have a good one.